cables to swap over the microphone and webcam. Fingers
Cool.
crossed.
Which is an excellent introduction to our live show.
Oh, yes, we are live.
Hello and welcome back to Let's Draw Now. Tonight we are joined by the man with the moustache,
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Stephen. Everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Hello!
And I'm Bright Till I Fly. And this is the man who didn't use my thumbnail, Cole.
Howdy.
Outrage.
It's alright, don't worry.
So, Jack, before we start, well, let's start with this. Tell us about the thumbnail, and it's not Cole's fault, because we just saw the message that says this is a thumbnail, which is accurate. What have you been doing? Why is there a DJI avatar near you? Why are you trying to masturbate with it? All these questions need to be answered.
Vital questions.
What was the first one again?
What are you doing with this
why?
DJI avatar?
What are you doing with this DJI Avatar?
Have you gone over to the dark side?
I've gone insane. I bought one. No, I haven't. No, a friend of mine has one, and I decided to use the wank grip to wank it off.
Is it everyone's favourite professional griefer?
Yes.
Ah.
No.
Is it a friend or is it a friend? Is a friend a code name for you bought it and it's a friend?
Yeah.
No.
Have you started a new limited company for the purposes of hoarding DJI equipment?
Yeah.
No. It's my friend Digby Dan. He got it. I had a quick go of it today, and
Nice.
it is pretty good. I didn't buy it, Frank. I did not buy it.
Scab.
You touched it, scab.
Yeah.
I
You jerked it off. You're a scab if you jerked it off.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be funny to like post stuff with me wanking it off. I mean, I might delete it. I don't know.
Nah, just keep it. It's funny.
Did the rounds and everything, but
you know what I found really funny though was like you posted that with the DJI Avata, and I actually was going back in your reels and your videos, just watching like past videos, and you were shaming people for using DJI products in the past in the same thread of your videos, and I was like, oh, the tables have turned, haven't they?
yeah, I had a moment of weakness, and then I sold them, and now they're worth more. So I've made.
I still don't understand what was going through your head in that week where you like decided that after all said and done, you'd go and buy it and then instantly sold it.
Yeah, well,
Without ever using it.
Yeah, because everyone panic bought the air units, and by the time I had the cash to get an air unit, there was none left, and it was just the absolute fear mongering. So I just kind of got rid of them and was like, sod it. I'll buy them again when they're cheaper, or wait till hopefully at some point something else is worked out. I don't know whether HD video or Runcam or Cadex release something, but I didn't like them. I don't like them because they don't sit above your head. They're really big. There's things like if you update it now, you can't get to the root hat.
That's only on the V2, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what I was sort of thinking was like, there's so many options now, right? As far as like whatever HD0, Walk Snail, DJI, Runcam, Cadex, like Fat Shark, whatever. There's so many now. I think everyone's kind of waiting out now for the O3 air unit, right? Like that's kind of like they're going to be the new and latest and greatest, I guess. That's the anticipation, I guess.
I mean, it's going to be that. It's going to be a slightly improved transmission system, but no one said if the goggles are better. No one said if the OSD is going to work this time.
Yeah.
Even the Walk Snail stuff, which had all this like furore around, oh yeah, they've got together with Fat Shark, and Fat Shark make the best goggles, and Walk Snail have an excellent transmission system, and with Fat Shark's amazing ability to like create super comfortable goggles, it's going to be great. The first thing I noticed when I put Andy's goggles on, the Walk Snail goggles, was they just hit the bridge of my nose, and all the weight was rested right on the front of the bridge of my nose. The entire goggle weight was pinched through a piece of hard plastic, digging in to the bridge of my nose, and it was
no little groove cutout, eh?
Yeah, it was awful. It was worse than the DJI goggles. My Sky Zones are way more comfortable than the Walk Snails. So I don't know. I just don't believe people's reviews anymore. I mean, Andy's always said like you've got to wear stuff to find out if it fits your face, but yeah, I'm not sure about the Walk Snails, and there seems to be some toing and froing as to whether they'll support a proper DisplayPort OSD forever, or whether it's going to kind of go off in a different direction.
There was also in that list of digital, and it sounds kind of like reading between the lines, that people would like to choose something other than DJI because they don't trust DJI not to bring out the next one and say, oh, this is incompatible with that one and this one, and you'll have to like give one of your kidneys before you're allowed to register with it. Orca was the other one that was supposed to be bringing out their own HD system, which hasn't happened yet, and they were also talking about our goggles are going to be very open, so you're going to be able to implement other HD systems, but that's a little bit fanciful because no one else has brought out anything in the realms of a module that you can just add on really at this point. But yeah, Jack, did you actually try out the goggles for the Avata, or did you just carry jerking it off or whatever?
I was in the V2 goggles.
Oh right.
I didn't have any of the head tracking.
So does that mean, did you still get that little dot where you can?
Yes.
So what was that like? That looked really odd.
You just kind of like use the wank grip. There's got to be a better. What's the real
joystick
name of that?
or what's it called?
I just assumed
if that's
motion
teledildonic interface.
Motion control, I think.
Okay,
would a wank sock be a holder for the wank stick then? Have we got an actual legitimate use for the socks now?
I don't know how much the editor is going to have to bleep that out.
Can we say teledildonics? Is that okay?
That sounds Latin. That sounds valid.
I think we're good.
Yeah. So yeah, the motion controller, you kind of have that circle, and you can kind of like aim it at stuff, but it really does. Like if you suddenly stop, it really like smooths it out. The horizon's pretty locked in. I was on like, I had one solid green light and one flashing light. That's what level of battery I was on. So I literally got 5 seconds, and then I had a small little. If I go out, it's because thunder and lightning has taken me out. But I really didn't. I got on with it. The throttle, I kept pressing it and hoping it would go, like send me upwards. But you need to kind of angle the that circle upwards, and then tilt back, and then press throttle for it to actually gain height. So I was fighting the controls a bit to get it, but I could easily see that someone who's never flown FPV would just totally duck to water it.
Love it, and be easy to use. Yeah,
it was.
There's a point in no interface then.
Yeah, I could really tell that the only sort of like argument I had with it was because of my own sort of stuck in the mud, wanting to like fly it manual, but it was very easy to like concentrate and be like, no, I'm gonna do this, and point the circle to where you want to go, and you can just stop moving and let you go the trigger.
Just hit the sandwich and go for it.
Yeah, and then give the old motion controller twist, and you can just turn to get to where you want. And because the battery was really low, and I had like a very quick go, the countdown for auto land happened, and then it just took over, and then started to gain some altitude, and then it kind of got into the wind and was badly tilting. And then I just cancelled that, brought it forward, and then just hit land, and it just auto land, and it was fine. It just, you know,
Just
it's
works.
a bit
Yeah.
it's a bit weird. It like, you know, auto land. I know I'm going to use a ton of throttle and go up to really high, but I think it's not really set up for it. But you know, it when you fly RC and you're looking at it at a point of view of like, we've been doing this for a long time, you do, you know, you're like, look, I'll tell you when to land, but you know, for a newbie, man, it's got itself covered, really.
What was the video like?
Like, I'm not the best to ask because I'm shoving my glasses in there.
Oh, right.
And it was a bit, you know, it's not.
You had some lens issues.
Yeah, you know, it was, you know, the colours were kind of soft, and you know, it's not that detailed, but like, it's totally flyable, like no problem. So
Weird,
you know.
because I've basically heard like the complete opposite based on like reviews online, saying it's like super vibrant and sharp and like high quality or whatever. But again, like your miles may vary depending on, like, I guess you have glasses that might kind of,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, my glasses has got a coating on them. They've got all kind of like anti-glare coating. So like, yeah, like take what I say with an absolute fistful of salt, you know, because I've got an anti-glare coating. The goggles don't quite fit my face, and I was too busy really, like, trying to get my head around the new control system and trying not to crash it. And the dog we're with is a psychopath. He just hates quads. Like, as soon as he hates the plugging in the lipo, so like the crack of the lipo noise alerts him to there's a drone going to go down. And then as soon as it takes off, one of us has to hold him, and then you've got what I can only describe as if the noise that comes out of him is that we're murdering his whole family in front of him. It's like,
oh my word,
and then just bark, 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 and then just mindlessly take off and try and kill the drone. It's very handy. You'll never lose a drone with him, but there was an element of, I've got to control this, and if I fly too low, he's going to eat me.
Yeah,
which almost happened on Digby Dan's run. So he was a bit low coming down the path, and you just saw the dog's head pop up, and then luckily he got some height. But yeah, if I get hold of that video, I'll send it to you guys to be like, yep, he almost got it. He's got a few drones here and there. Fair play to him. But he's 10 now. So
I was a bit shocked that they didn't have like forward sensing sensors on that one or whatever. I mean, they have them on the bottom.
Yeah, you've got a big OD switch, so you can just literally hit this big brake button. So it's the big, like, waffle shaped one. I don't know how compatible it's going to be with like left-handed people as well. That was me a bit miffed, because I was like, oh, what happens for left-handed people? Because like your whole, like, you know, pan and tilt, like, I think there's some camera settings.
Oh, they've put it all on hats and stuff, have they, around the side of the controller?
Yeah, little sliders and stuff, like,
on the lefty, that's not good.
Burn them as witches. Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah, so I flew it right-handed, and I had
no one expects the Inquisition.
Yeah, I had like an MC.
I'm going back to the original discussion. It's kind of like the stranger flying.
Yeah, the stranger flight. Yeah, it really was like that.
Well, I guess at the same time too, like having forward sensors or obstacle avoidance on the front wouldn't really make sense on a city move because you're going to be flying through small places anyways, right?
No.
You will not be able to do that kind of cute shot where you're flying through someone's legs, gap in a chair, someone
you don't want it to be
pouring
like
coffee or something.
like stop right before. Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I tried that with my Mavic before, but yeah, it's not very fun with the sensors.
A rising tide and all that, but it does make me feel that people are kind of missing the point a bit. I'm conflicted with DJI products. I can see they help people appreciate some of the artistic output that you can get from FPV, and it brings a wider audience to that. And maybe there's some people who get this and they go on from that to get a freestyle quad that goes a bit faster, do some more interesting stunts. But it also feels like DJI have taken something that's cool about a hobby and are just kind of cashing in on it and trying to turn it into a commodity when it really is potential to be a bit more interesting than that.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got it. Someone's surely to be the one to do the cash grab, and if whoever's got the most money, they're going to put the most into it, and then they're going to try to get the most out of it. So it's
like gaming and that. There's always someone doing the dumb kind of Call of Duty stuff for every 100 indie developers doing weird, unusual stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, but like you know what, Tommy said, oh my god, the fact is that you can like fly into a room and then stop. No one's released. They're basically doing everything that Vernon said he would do. It's a one-axis gimbal, but you've got an extra axis because you've got the
digital
sensor and like that's the problem. Is like you can build an iNav quad, but trying to get a gimbal, all gimbals, like the production of gimbals have kind of stopped now. You could probably build your own.
Anymore.
Yeah, like the Ollie, whatever. You're almost better off buying a DJI Osmo and taping it to, in order to get, no one's releasing these small little gimbals that you put, you get HD.
Well, like the Alexmos ones or whatever.
Yeah,
don't mention gimbals to.
So Andy's saying.
Well, no, it was. Oh, sorry. Carry on.
I was going to mention that you posted a comment about Andy saying it's bad indoors in low light, and if GPS return to home kicks in, then it flies to the roof. Now, that sounds like they've completely missed a big section of their target market who wanted to film cute little things flying through business premises as advertising collateral, which is like all of the top shots that you see people doing with cine whoops. They're all indoors. Because there's no wind, and they're all flying through people.
I wonder if there's an option of your failsafe to say land as opposed to just RTH, because that would be. They must know this is going to be used indoors, around trees, stuff like that, where it's like just going to be stupid to clunk.
Well, there's a question to Andy: can you configure the failsafe?
Yeah.
Well, did you guys see the Rotor Ride episode when they were in that like neon or black light, like mini putt course kind of thing?
I saw that, and the lighting, they couldn't use that motion controller, could they? Because it couldn't pick up correctly in that lighting condition.
Yeah, like Andy was saying, that it's not good in. I guess that's maybe the camera. It's bad in low light, but I mean, it's it does seem like they were having kind of a heck of a time, just using that controller and getting this weird stuff going on in that lower light environment. So that's also strange because
It's what you fly a small quad for. What's it got, like 3-inch, 2.5-inch props, tiny props?
Yep. Yeah, even like the club I work at, they had a cine whoop guy come in a couple times, and I mean, I don't really know if it would be a good idea to throw Nevada in there if it's gonna, if it fail safes or whatever. Like,
guess I always figured that they're the sort of thing someone with a whole bunch of money gets as just an expensive toy, and if they want to. Yeah, if they're going to do serious work, then they'll probably read about it, build something themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that that's something that can be updated in software. If DJI want to actually, that's kind of where, the sort of like mistrust you know, is due.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like when it was first announced, when it was first showed, I was like super ecstatic about it. I mean, you guys saw me a couple episodes ago. I was like, it's amazing. I'm getting it. Well, I didn't say I was getting it, but like I thought it was really cool. But after seeing a little more videos, a little more reviews, and just, I mean, like, okay, this is my sort of take on it. It does seem really cool. It's cool that it has all that stabilization built in. You don't have to mess around too much in post unless you really want to. But then, I don't know, the camera quality does seem better than the original DJI FPV, but I don't think it's quite as good as like the Action 2 or like a real GoPro. I also saw somebody talking online talking about how apparently, well, this is all rumors obviously, but apparently the O3 Air unit is quote unquote just a DJI Action 2, and that it'll have all this rock steady, horizon steady, all this stuff built in, which if it does, that would be pretty cool, I guess, because you wouldn't necessarily need an HD cam, but then you'd also have to have a fair enough angle that you're not getting props in the shot. And then there's kind of all those.
Have you
other
really
little
looked at the Action 2 footage though? Like in bad lighting conditions, the Action 2 is nothing to write home about. It's a lot worse than a GoPro.
Well, see, one thing, my argument for that is though, I think a lot of in the hobby, the FPV hobby community, whatever. I think a lot of the problem though is like a lot of people don't know how to use cameras properly or do camera settings properly. So a lot of people are pushing their ISO way too high, which is going to make stuff look like shit at nighttime. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, I don't know, my experience is like, if you're going to shoot at nighttime, expose for the lights. Don't expose for the darkest bits. If you expose for the lighting, your ISO doesn't have to be that high, and it would look a lot better. So, I don't know. I would want to play around with it and see. Like, I just feel like a lot of people just kind of, press auto on their camera settings and wish for the best, but I don't think that's necessarily the best way to judge a camera.
And a lot of pilots are pilots first; they're not camera people first. So that's understandable. Yeah, just little things I noticed is all, but yeah, I mean, I do know what you mean though. The Action 2 it's definitely not the cream of the crop when it comes to image quality. That's for sure. Well, it's Action 2, and what are we on? GoPro 10. There's just much more iteration on the GoPro side. Maybe if we go back to the early GoPros, then we would really be shocked at the kind of image quality we're getting, and it might take DJI another 3 or 4 years to get to a standard where it really rivals the GoPro for image quality.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, DJI is focusing on a lot of stuff, whereas like GoPro is kind of like, okay, we're making cameras, and I mean they had their stint with the drone whatever many years ago, but that was rough. So they're like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. Stick to what they're good at. Whereas like DJI, they're good at quads. They're getting better at cameras. Now they're doing microphones. Like they're trying. Like they're definitely like trying to build up. But yeah, they're definitely not on par with the contenders.
Yeah, DJI's got to that point where they're a big enough company that they're making that ecosystem play. They're not just looking to make one type of thing. They're looking to make that thing and everything else that a person who buys that thing would be interested in.
Yeah. Huh. According to NDRC, the Avata camera is far better than the Action 2. So that's something.
That's good.
Yeah. Cool.
I remember with the Action 2, Failsafe was saying he was pouring water on it between flights to cool it down as well. That's not what you want to be doing.
No.
Like, don't worry, it's waterproof. Just dousing the camera in water to get it like 10 or 20 degrees cooler so you can fly again.
I did have my first GoPro overheat, which I've never had before, but I was filming for a long time in 4K 60 out in the heat, and after about 25 minutes, I just heard it. I was like, what's going on there? Turned it back on, started filming 30 seconds later, off it goes. I had to just basically leave it for about 20 minutes to let it recap itself. Just get your thoughts, get yourself together, and we can go again. Yeah. That's never happened to me before.
Yeah, it's usually the batteries too that are the ones that get hot. Like if you swap the battery, you might get a little more life out of it, but yeah, it's.
I run mine without a battery. Just figure that's easier.
There's a
Well, it certainly doesn't
guy-
get as hot without a battery, but it doesn't turn on either. That's my problem with it.
I used one of those little Becks like you were messing around with the Thumb Pro.
Could have done that. But it's like on my head. It's being an action camera at the
Oh, yeah.
time, so it's
Fair enough.
it's
yeah.
it needs to be flexible.
We got some secret leaks from Andy RC here. Oh, okay.
Andy, why don't you
Go,
just
bro.
come on the show?
There is
Like,
that, but
you've got
Come
the
on the
link
show
in
so
the
you can
chat.
be properly attacked. by the legal
pretty
team.
much at least once a year, GoPro does bring out a new camera. I think it's right to expect one before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like,
Will it be the 11 or will it be something else?
Will
Session.
someone
Andy.
finally make
Hero
something
10.
that can fit into a session mount? That's what
Hero
remains to
11
be seen,
session.
isn't it?
Hero 11 session. Hero 11 session. GoPro, do it. We need it.
no, they don't. They don't even like us. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, we're not surfing, are we? Or like riding horses or doing something that looks cool. We're a bunch of nerds standing with goggles on our faces.
and we
I
don't
want it to
have
be even
10 million
heavier.
followers.
I'm using
Yeah.
it as a neck workout when I've got it on my head. I was like, after a while I just go limp and I sort of loll around like this and someone has to rescue me because it sways so much.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
well,
Yeah.
aren't you using it in water mainly to film the fishies?
I am like a proper GoPro customer. I take it skiing with me. I film underwater with it, and but I also use it quite a lot as my sort of field camera because that front screen for me when I'm saying hello everybody, I'm at the field, because you can tell because there's a field behind me, is dead useful, and it goes on my head when I was filming my little helicopter.
Yeah, I just watched that actually. That was cool.
The only thing I haven't done with my GoPro 10 is put it on the quad, and that's because the current GoPro never goes on the quad in case I break it. The previous GoPro does. So the GoPro 7 goes on the quad. The GoPro 10 is my baby, although it's a very heavy one, and I probably wouldn't want
What
it on
about
the quad.
skydiving?
I haven't done any of that. I haven't done any surfing either. I did take it on a stand-up paddleboard, but it mainly involves pictures of me
Looking at
going
your
"Whoa,"
feet.
like this, and the paddleboard disappearing, and then you see the fishes again. It just wants to go back to the fish.
That's funny.
Like the little arm waves was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, Andy, we miss you. And I'll be a lot calmer because I've already wanked off the motion controller.
It's got it out of a
With his
system.
right hand.
What we should
Yeah.
do is wait until Andy's got no pending product reveals to do, so he won't be tempted to blurt out any NDA breaching stuff, and then get him on the show. So we just need to wait till he's got all this Avata and Cadex and whatever stuff out of his system. Just wait for it to be cleansed, and then he can come on the show relaxed and free of worry. We might not even need the disclaimer.
Yeah. If someone can make a really small but good, three-axis gimbal, it would be amazing. But, without
They're very
having-
delicate things, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
with
a
RC
FPV.
control.
Yeah, that would. I don't know. I mean, they do exist for like the cinema stuff, I guess, like cine quads. But
They're heavy, though.
yeah,
It
they,
feels like the world's
yeah.
given up on gimbals now.
Yeah,
That was
they're just.
that was so
we can do
6
it in
years ago.
software. Yeah.
Well, and also,
Yeah.
like, the compact version of the gimbal is OIS, isn't it? Like, you
Yep.
put it in the lens, and it's
Yeah.
much easier to manage. Instead of
Well, that's why
moving
with
the entire weight of the camera, you just move the lens system, and that's it.
Or you just get an Insta360
Sorry, Cole, what
and you
you
can
saying?
pretend you can gimbal around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, yes, it's all digital now, man. Like that's why on the Avata it's just a one axis because they're. I mean, you guys have seen like the Hero 9s and 10s where you can turn it like super far. You can rotate it super crazy, but it still keeps it level. So, the software and like the technology has gotten so advanced now that it's like.
Oh, sorry, I
do
meant
you
like
really need it?
not EIS, like in software, but OIS, where the
Oh,
actual optics in the
optical.
lens have
Mm.
like tiny motors in them, or like
Yeah.
tiny actuators that do image stabilization in the optics. They don't use
it moves-
electronics.
Yeah. So my actual my main camera that I use, like a DSLR, has it, or mirrorless camera, where the sensor is actually floating and it counteracts. That's what you're talking about, right? Like optical image stabilization. Yeah.
You get it in some fancy phones. I think a couple of iPhones have had it. Tends to be the larger phones where the body's big enough to put the guts of the to move the sensor around. It needs some actuators.
Yeah, it's like kind of floating there a little bit, right? Or
that means you've already enclosed all the delicate electronics inside the body of the camera, and the weight that you're moving is much smaller, so you don't need big motors either. Kind of seems to be where the world's ended up, I guess.
Interesting.
Sorry, off on a
I've never heard
tangent.
of that.
Yeah, that's OIS versus EIS. Of course, everyone tries to like downplay OIS because it's really expensive to implement and really complex. It's like building a clockwork watch. Everyone's really happy to just say that EIS can do everything and you can just solve the problem in software, but the top tier stuff still actually moves the optics around.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is superior. Like to have a floating element or whatever, like it is better than electronic, but or a mixture of the two is even better together, right? Like it's
I always remember what's his name? He was
you start the sentence. I always remember.
Wait a second.
I always remember. No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Where am I?
But he's the guy with like the laser time.
Laser time? What?
Laser tie, rocket pants.
Laser time. He's an engineer.
It's like a What Free Words location. Laser time engineer. Meet me there.
Curry, while Jack is playing his own little memory game, you also messed around with some stabilization in the Thumb Pro, and you tried many things to get it to work at speed, and it beat you.
I couldn't make it work. No. Which was a shame, because what I found, because I put it on a 5-inch quad, because I thought, you know what, lots of people run 5-inch quads, and they'd like pretty cheap cameras, which turn out pretty good results without risking smashing up a GoPro 10 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I had TPU mounts on it, so it was nice and sort of flexible, and I thought that would absorb the vibrations, but on putting it through, there is a constant like hum. You can see it in the gyro noise, that there's a constant sort of bzzz of this, which won't seem to go away. What's this?
Laser engraving music.
Yeah, so he's using a speaker to modulate the. Hang on.
I like his burrito capture.
Yeah, so he's using a lens of a laser and these thin. This is William Osman, by the way, and then thin bits of wire, and then a speaker modulate the wiggle of the laser lens to then burn a groove into a resin record or a bit of cardboard. I think he went with in the end. But yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of. Sort of like manual moving of the.
Wait, what?
Oh, I couldn't remember what the original context of that was at all.
Me neither. I'm like, wait, what are we talking about here?
We're talking about floating lenses. This is what triggered Jack's memory.
Oh.
Yeah,
we say memory in the very loosest sense of the word. I saw this bloke once.
It's similar to lasers and records, except without the lasers or the records. But something was moving.
Yes, so RunCam Fun Pro, what I found out is there was a sort of constant vibration from the quad, which meant gyroflow, he's off in a strop, couldn't do much with it, which was annoying because in the video I stabilised, there was segments of like when it's pretty smooth, and then you'd go into turn, and then when it does do the wobble, it's ever so more obvious because it's like smooth, wobble, smooth, wobble, like that. So the plan, well, first off, I'm releasing that video tomorrow so people can see, and people keep writing in the comments about how good their experience is with gyroflow, and it makes me think, well, I'm doing it wrong. So I'm offering links to my raw footage and the gyro data, and I was like, have a go. If you can do better, let me know, and I'll share it. If you can't do better, let me know, and then I know I'm not doing it wrong. So the other option to do is think about the mount. Is the mount soft enough? But what we can't. I say we can't. I don't.
You've got a camera on a stick almost, though, haven't you? It's like a really tall mount. The camera's at the end, kind of waggling a bit.
The camera's at the end. But what we can't do is design something so elaborate that we come up with this really delicate, like, oh, careful, because it floats on these little, unicorn snot just there, and if you move it, that's wrong. So we need something that's reasonable. Now, I took on board what you said last week, Stephen, about you thought it might be the sort of the elbow joint causing it. Well, it's got more movement there, and if I can shorten that down and make it a one piece, then that might be something. So I'll have to try and whip that up in my Fusion 360 skills to see what I can do. The other option, I was doing a little update video today for Patreon, is perhaps going back 10 years in time. Who remembers the little rubber grommets we used to put under the little pad our Mobius sat on? But before you were born, Cole. And that's the sort of thing we used to use before there was any stabilization, before there was any gyro flow, to get those rubber grommets to absorb the noise.
To convince yourself that you were somehow improving the camera picture because you'd spent 4 hours rigging up the camera mount.
The problem could be that
squishy.
They are squishy, but how squishy do they need to be before the squishiness ends up moving the camera too much and then creating that vibration? This is it. If we can get it down to, if we're pushing hard through the wind and it's, the grommets, for example, bend back but they don't vibrate, that would be fine because we'd be able to do something with it. If we just end up with the same, it's vibrating because the grommets are quite soft, then we're back on the same problem. This is something that possibly needs a little bit of experimentation with, which is always annoying.
And the same
GoPro's looks absolutely perfect. But I fly it with a GoPro 7. There's obviously more weight behind a GoPro, so there's no possibility of it. I mean, there's TPU
It's not going to get deflected by the aerodynamics.
But it's not flapping around, is it? Like a lighter camera would. So it's obviously got hypersmooth on as well. But hypersmooth isn't quite the magic bullet it would be if there were proper vibrations going up there, but there's not. So
what about
it's tricky.
Have you tried I don't know if it's possible with that run cam, but have you tried like a foam wedge option?
No, because of the slight difficulty in fixing it.
It's a weird shape.
I've got at the moment. Where is it? It's up there.
It's like a lozenge shape, Cole. It's like the
yeah, I know it's kind of rounded, right?
Like that Cadex peanut.
Yeah, I wonder if you could like burrow out a little hole in the foam
what it
wedge
needs
or
is
something.
like a one-piece mount that holds it nice and close to. You see, that's really high.
So
up.
that's what we're looking at the moment, because we had to do
nothing.
a GoPro style mount for it that we then mounted into. So there's possibly too much movement there.
Yeah,
so we
totally.
can replace this thing with a shorter one piece and then hope that's not as much movement. But it's a difficult shape to sort of think about the foam wedge for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible, but it's kind of like it's a bit doohickey.
These cameras, did they really design them for quads? Because it's like a stick with the camera on one end of the stick, and it's hard to center on a quad. It'd be easier if the lens was just centered, and there was some sort of attachment on it. That shape, that lozenge shape, really doesn't offer any attachment. You have to create a sleeve and post it into the sleeve because there's no way to lock it in place otherwise.
Andy's saying that looks too stiff. It's pretty flexible. So
it was working on a 2.5 inch or something, or 3 inch.
It probably moves too much. On a 2.5 inch, it's fine. I have the feeling now, if I put it on equivalent 3 inch to a proper fast 3 inch, I think you'd have the same problem.
Huh.
Well, Jack is holding up an all-in-one printed session mount.
Session mount, nice.
Yeah.
I cleaned it up. It looks pretty good now. It doesn't look as I mean, if you look at it,
Yeah, it looks
shiny.
good. Yeah, it doesn't look stringy or anything.
It looks better than the ones I sent Cole. Apologies, Cole.
Yeah, it's not how it looks. I guess it's how it works. But sometimes I'm like, oh, okay. I got this one 3D printed mount from a guy before, and the whole thing was like it had just like hard pieces on the inside, extruding. So when I tried to put a GoPro in it, it was just like scratching it up like crazy. So I was like, okay, I'm not using that. But I mean, if it looks, it's not about how it looks. Yeah.
We will see. I tried to print a couple of mounts for Cole. I don't often print camera mounts, mainly just antenna stuff. So I had to tweak the supports quite a bit to actually get the thing printing and be able to remove the supports. I was playing around with tree supports, and I thought this is going to be great. There's going to be perfect support, and I won't have any kind of little dangly bits. They'll all just be a nice flat plane at the top. But then I couldn't remove the support. It's just so tightly fixed on. I had to go back to traditional supports.
Yeah, that's what what I've heard, or what it seems like. 3D printing can be very, very trying and very time consuming, and just to get it to work properly or to get it to the desired outcome, it seems like a whole rabbit hole in itself that I'm very afraid of.
Anyone who has kind of like figured it out, like holds the settings like a closely guarded secret.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it seems like. It's like once you get it, then you're good. But that's only if you're doing a certain type of print, because I'm sure you have to tweak settings for different types of prints, just like you were saying, right, Stephen?
Different printer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to. People will say, "Oh, yeah, this filament prints perfectly at 215 degrees," and then you'll do it on your printer at 215 and think, "This is garbage. What's going on?" And turns out that your printer needs to run it at like 225, and there's no way of finding out. You just got to trial and error it. And when you print, you've got to make sure the filament's dry, or you end up with moisture in the filament, causing the filament to swell and jam, and sometimes create these funny little bobbles, and you get like closures and things where it's puffed out because there's steam coming out of the filament. And it was quite stressful printing this summer because I had to keep drying the filament again and again and again, because it would just absorb moisture like crazy and then jam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Filament changes over time.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I have enough, headaches just trying to tinker with the quad stuff. I couldn't even imagine the.
Well, it's just like camera stuff, isn't it? It's the same sort of deal. It's its whole little world.
Yeah, you have to
time in, and you'll be fine. You just gotta sit at it, and then as soon as you've cracked the back of it and you feel like you're getting somewhere, you start feeling better about it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We just had the question flag up there about what's the easiest 3D design software, and a couple of people said Tinkercad.
Yeah,
not FreeCAD.
I had this little piss take thing where I designed this rectangle in Fusion 360. I said, "Look at my skills here," and then someone thought I was being serious and recommended this tutorial. I actually watched it, and I have to say, it sort of I realised I was doing certain things wrong in Fusion, and after watching that, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty good now. So I'd have to say, if you watch the right tutorials, especially if you need to go back and tinker with things, Fusion 360 is pretty good, because the way you can just go back in time and change one of the components earlier without having to change everything else, and it just wraps itself around your changes is pretty impressive. I like that.
Yeah, but aren't they being mean now with like the free subscription and everything?
It looks like they're being mean, but there's always certain workarounds, so you don't have to pay anything still. But there's a limit on like cloud saving, but you can, if you find the right thing, save locally. Like for ages, I wanted to save as STL, and it had to go up to the cloud and come back again. But then I found out there's a direct button that says print 3D, and then you can print 3D to a file, and you get like a local STL file without having to mess around and stuff. So they do seem more problematic than they used to be, but it's still free if you're like hobbyist and not doing commercial stuff, and it's pretty powerful stuff. I'm barely scratching the surface, but the fact is I managed to do some designs recently. This was my attempt at a tripod mount for carrying my OpenHD stuff. This is TPU screwed into PLA so I could jam the stuff in. It hasn't worked particularly well. It needs redesigning, but I did that bit, and what it allowed me to do was
Is it a quarter 20 on the bottom there?
I sort of
Like it.
Is that a quarter 20 thread on the bottom?
It's whatever a tripod one is.
Yeah.
But using the basic thing that I could go back and do it allowed me to like prototype the hole, so then I could make sure that was right, and then I could change my parameters back on this to make it big again, and then print it out and stuff, which is all quite good. I liked it. It's worth messing about with, but you do have to invest a little bit of time and watch the right tutorials, else it's a complete mind screw. If you just like, just try using it. What's going on?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of things in to do with anything FPV related. It's like,
yeah. Well, it's either that or go the DJI route and get someone else to do it for you.
Yeah, I have to say, I finally understood what it's like for new people coming in. And when they ask a question and you say, it's Betaflight, it happened to me. And if you guys watched the little video I did about me trying heli flying, literally I got the heli, and then I was like, right, what did these buttons do? And I read the manual, and of course the manual doesn't teach you how to fly a heli, does it? So it's like, I don't understand the buttons. What's going to happen? So I had to ping NJ, and NJ, what's this button do? I don't understand. And
I really liked your explanation of that, by the way. I'd always been a little bit baffled by some of it.
It was really, really helpful. But if you don't know anybody and you're sort of writing comments into YouTube, and the YouTube guy just use Betaflight, for fuck's sakes, what's wrong with these people? I apologise if I've done that before. I understand the newbiness of coming into something and not knowing what the hell's going on. Even if it feels similar to something you've done before, it's different. And so everybody else coming into stuff like Express LRS Fresh is going to be like confused, and that's okay. And everything else.
You literally have to get into the mind of the person who developed or invented it. You have to, and once you've been in the minds of a few different people, like it slowly gets easier. But like OpenTX, man, the mind of a programmer, A is greater than X, and then logic switch to I'm just like, no.
It's weird because every one of us that has like done a bit of programming is like, this is perfect, this is so easy, and like everybody else that is like, you use this wizard to set up this. I was like, what? What if I want to use this switch to do that? And what if I want to use like logical functions that go into each other and rely on each other and stuff? This is fantastic. But yeah, I can see why, if you haven't been in that mindset, the logical switch stuff and the functions are really, really hard to wrap your head around.
Like when OpenTX announced that you could store the configuration as a YAML file, I was like, that's so much better than having to use that little companion app. My word.
You were so excited about it, weren't you?
I was so happy about it. And I talked to some people and they're like, this sounds horrific. What? Well, why? It can just like copy bits of text around and not have to press all these buttons. But how will I know what they do? Well, it's written down in the text.
You can read it. It's like people who adjust G code. I'm like, they are the Matrix. Like, they're in there. They could find the knobbly bit that they want to adjust, and I'm just like, man, rather you than me. And the hardest part is learning the vocabulary. Like, I remember when I first joined the hobby, like, why are we using S instead of C for cell and stuff like that? And
I've never thought about that one. Did you find out the answer? Why is it S?
We already used it, C for C rating, for the current we can draw.
So we used S because it sounds a bit like C.
3 series, 4 parallel.
Yeah.
Nice. That's helpful.
That's what I always thought it was. S is for series, isn't it?
No.
No, it's just because of the other letter was already taken. They wanted to use another letter entirely.
Oh, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, the only time
fair
that kind of works out is 2-pack S, 3
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, so if you've got 6 cells and you've got 3 in series, 2 parallel, it's 3S, 2P.
Yeah, but yeah, 1S. Yeah, 1 cell. Yeah, it doesn't work. Because, 1 in series with itself. Yep, Andy pointed it
Horrific.
out. Andy gets the sausage.
He should come on the show. He knows his stuff.
Yeah,
know.
what a useful chap.
I know. It makes it sound like your argument makes it sound like we did it on purpose, but it really falls down on that 1S.
Yeah, it looked like too much of a coincidence. I thought, oh, that must be exactly why they're doing it, but no, apparently no
I
such
thought
luck.
it was for U2P. Richard Warwick, explain. Too much science, not enough stick time. Maybe not enough me jerking that transmitter off.
Is it a transmitter though, or is it a motion controller?
It transmits the motion. Me jerking off to the drone.
It's a motion transmitter.
Can you catch something bad from it?
Well,
Tries
whatever
hard
I've
enough, I'm
got,
sure I'll
right.
manage.
I'd more be worried about the motion transmitter with Jack twiddling it around like that.
Yeah.
It felt really wanky. Has anyone watched the new Top Gun?
For good reason.
Yeah. Has
The new Top Gun?
Yeah, speaking of wanky. Yeah.
No. This is the one with the 60-year-old Tom Cruise kind of limping around.
Yeah, waxwork.
I did play the Top Gun missions in Flight Simulator, if that counts at all.
Yeah, I guess that sort of counts.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll do. I mean, mind you, you probably flew the Top Gun NES and actually managed to land on the aircraft carrier. No spoilers.
No, I haven't.
Because I could never do that on the Mega Drive. Alright, no spoilers. I'm the only one who's seen it, so I'll have to lend.
Can you even
I'm not sure
buy the
you can
DJ
spoiler
pack?
most films like this because they're just like rehashes of something from 40 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. FX Node's asking, can you even buy the DJI pack with a regular controller? Nope, you can't.
Not currently.
Not at the
You have to
moment.
buy it as
No.
an add-on.
Yeah, and it's weird though. Yeah, you can get it, but it's another $250 or maybe 249 pounds. I don't know what it is for you guys, but yeah, it is a bit odd that you can only get it with a motion controller. Yeah.
Zero, the best mod. By the way, if you got the someone liked your comment on Final Glide, it was me. Zero says, gone from heli to quad. They aren't that different to fly. A quad in acro is controlled like a FP heli. You
What's an
can
FP
compare
Fixed pitch.
a CP heli to a quad set up for 3D mode.
Yeah, which nobody does.
What is FP stand for? Fixed pitch.
Fixed pitch, yeah. Which would be fine. So the biggest problem I had in collective pitch heli is the fact that your 50% is you will stay in hover.
Did no one ever tinker around with 3D quads just to see what happened?
Yeah, I tried it, but I did it in FPV, so it's not that hard. I went flying around upside down for a while, but I still had that immediate reaction. It's like, it's gone wrong. I'm dropping the throttle, and then you hear this horrendous followed by bushes breaking behind you somewhere, and the quad's gone in.
It sounds. I wanted to do it. I've got some props to do it, but it does scare the living shit out of me. Zero, what does it? Or you guys? Does anyone know why is it called collective? I just out of curiosity. I've never looked it up, and I don't know.
That's a good point. Because
the
that
name of the
word's not
physical
used in
thingy.
conjunction with anything else to imply that it varies, is it? To my knowledge.
I don't
So,
know. I don't know.
The collective pitch control is located on the left side of the da-da-da-da. The collective
No,
is
but
used
why
to
is
make...
it called that?
Why is it called collective? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it called
Etymology, collective.
Firstly, it does not control the pitch of the helicopter. It is named collective because it changes the pitch of all the main rotor blades collectively, as in the same time, or at the same time by the same amount. That's why.
Okay.
Because it controls two blades at the same time, so it collectively changes the pitch. Was there an
Yep.
earlier version of this where each blade was controlled with a different stick? And I feel really sorry for those pilots.
That would be frightening.
Yeah, we're just getting a failsafe FPV will explain it to you when you're older. What it felt wanky. It did
Action
feel
2
a
is way
bit.
better. Oh. Sorry,
You know, like, have you ever played Tomb Raider using the Thrustmaster control like joystick? Do you remember the early days of Windows 95?
The one with a hat on. Like, you play Tomb Raider with one of those joysticks that's got a hat on and, like, a little flick over lid on a switch, so you pretend you're in Top Gun.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. You can control Lara like that, but it just feels wrong.
That's not the way of doing it.
Right.
Yeah, Phil. Oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, I think Jack got hit by lightning.
Oh, here we are. The man who was pouring water over his Action 2 is now telling us that we should be pouring water over all our cameras, perhaps? It's the way forward. Apart from the need to use icy water in between packs for water cooling, this was a must.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Failsafe. I feel like it's actually probably a really good camera, and people just aren't using it properly.
With what? Too dry.
Yeah, they need to have liquid. They need to have active liquid cooling. Yeah.
It was
It's
weird
like
as
a
well.
cooling loop, like on a PC.
Yeah,
People, like you released your flight video, and people were like, you know, Cole was like, "Oh man, it looks amazing." I'm like, Cole can make most cameras look amazing. God damn it.
Oh, yeah. It's not the camera. It's how you use it, man. It's how you use it.
Would you like to use the DJI Action camera to play Tomb Raider?
Action controller for Tomb Raider.
Controller.
I'm already holding another kind of joystick when I play Tomb Raider. I'll let that
Triangular boobies.
And Andy RC is saying, interestingly, the
pyramid.
Avata overheats very quickly in standby mode. Have you tried rinsing under a tap, Andy? Would be the suggestion we're here. Ice cold water and then fly it.
It's empirically working for other products in the DJI series, so just do it with the Avata.
Yeah.
I think every DJI quad overheats easily just hanging out. Like my Mavic, although it is old, when I turn it on, if I don't take off right away and I just have it sort of sitting on the ground, the fans will kick in, and even within like, I don't know, 30 seconds, it starts to try to cool itself down almost immediately, which is
I was
Is
flying
that just because? Sorry.
So I was just gonna say, I was flying my Mavic Mini somewhere. It was just outside Death Valley because you're not allowed to fly it in the park. And I was flying it around. And I noticed suddenly on my phone, I started getting like breakup. I was like, "Oh, this doesn't look good. This looks like it's overheating." So I landed it, and I could barely touch it. It was that hot because it was obviously 100 and something degrees. But it literally the breakup on the screen. It's like I am melting on the inside. It looked that bad. That was very odd.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all the pressures are kind of, let's push the hardware to the absolute limit so we can sell it with a giant hero number. And if consumers have trouble with it, we'll worry about them later.
We'll dial it back in software.
Yeah.
Have you released the video of that, by the way? Have you just gone to get what I think you've just gone to get?
What, me?
Yeah.
I just ran to get my cat because she was making noises.
Oh, no worries.
No,
I sent you a message
none
in
of that
private
is...
chat.
Oh, yeah, no. If you're referring to what I think you're referring to, no.
Okay, no worries. I thought
Yeah.
you might not want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's that.
Yeah.
Death Valley by name and nature possibility.
That one. Oh, that thing. I mean, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that.
It's like it went smash, and then you've got like a hole in it.
Yeah. I can show that. That's fine. I thought you were talking about the other non-talk.
No. I wouldn't want that on there.
Yeah.
No, dude, you're all good.
I might need to drop because I need to go sort out something else. But
we haven't got. Do you wanna? We can end. So, old Cole got attacked by a seagull, and
a seagull literally kamikazed my quad, and caused it to fall out of the sky and almost into the water at some type of beach somewhere. And but luckily, the heat sink. This whole bottom thing is a heat sink. It like the rock smashed it though. And this is some type of metal, aluminum. I don't know what it is, but I'm very surprised that I basically just missed destroying my gimbal. Like it smashed here and nothing here. The drone is completely fine. So that was.
Stay clear of dirty seagulls.
Don't mess with seagulls. They're psychos.
Right. Any views expressed by any guest on this show are personal and may not reflect the views of others. Do not rinse your new DJI products under a tap for cooling purposes.
Why not?
Use the hose.
I don't know. Yeah. Thank you. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. Massive shout out to all our Patreons. You guys are lovely. Thank you to all you guys who jumped into the comments and all you guys talking and asking questions. And Zero's the best mod ever. We love you guys. Thanks for supporting the show. Let's Drone Out is now aiming to have more drone talk, and we're actively trying better now. And you've been joined by the man with a lovely moustache, Stephen.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Goodbye.
The man who may or may not add one of my photos to the thumbnails maybe one day, Cole.
See ya.
That sounded like a really passive-aggressive dig, but it's me hoping one day I'll be worthy.
Just say, hey, Cole, here's a sweet photo. Can you use it as a thumbnail? And I'll go, yeah.
I knew you couldn't anyway because it wasn't in the right position. It was.
I can make things positioned how I want them to be, Jack.
And I've been Bright Until I Fly, being your hosts of Let's Drone Out. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye.